Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kathy Fitzmaurice from the Central Office, and I'll be your host for today's webinar, What Business Owners Need to Know About Credit Card Processing. Your microphones and telephones are currently muted. To eliminate background noise during the program, we will take questions throughout the presentation. To ask a question, type it into the question box on your control panel, or if you have a working microphone, raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon and I'll unmute you. Today's program is being recorded and will be available through WebMQS in the Shared Resources section. And I'd like to thank Jen McCluskey from our Canton SBDC for arranging this webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm very pleased to introduce Michael Horning, owner of MLS Direct Network. Welcome, Mike. And can anyone hear me? I think we've lost. So Sue, you've got your hand raised, so hopefully that means you can hear me.
Kathy, I'm still on.
All right, we've lost Mike, so I do apologize. I'm sure we'll get him back shortly. And if not, Jen and I will just wing the presentation.
We'll give him a couple minutes.
Yeah, so I apologize, everybody.
Well, we've talked about it, and it is really important for a small business owner to be able to take credit cards. There are some reasons that Mike talked about. First off, they do tend to spend more money. If they're spending cash, it's a little harder. Credit cards also can help a business owner with upselling. Hold on, I think I have Mike on the other line. Hello, Mike? Okay, you want me to just put you on speaker?
Yeah, I guess. Should I hang up on the other line here?
Okay, I've got Mike on speaker. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I can hear Mike. Yep, and we've got a yes, so we're good.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, terribly sorry about that. Little technical difficulties here. My name is Mike Hornung of MLS Direct Network. I own a business in Bridger Falls, New York. I've been in the credit card processing or acquiring side of the business for the past 15 or now 16 years. So what I wanted to do is kind of give you an overview of why a small business owner should take credit cards and have them understand how they should go about getting a provider for them and some of the questions that they should ask and kind of give them a little advice so they don't get taken advantage of, because there are a lot of folks out there that are calling in and are soliciting businesses, and they may not know. It's like trying to read your cell phone bill. You don't know where all these charges and fees are, and would like to kind of help people understand how that works. So why should a small business owner actually take credit cards? One of the reasons is that if you do take credit cards, people will tend to spend more money, and that helps your bottom line. If they just have $20 in cash and they want to buy something for $40, they're more apt to pull out their debit card or their credit card to buy it. So that's more money in your pocket. Another good reason for people to accept credit cards is that if there's a lot of cash in the till, employees tend to steal that money, and they can't steal credit cards. Everything is done, there's a paper trail and so forth, so there's less inventory or shrinkage walking out the door. And any small business owner will tell you that's a huge issue. They think they trust their employees, but not all of them are trustworthy. And also, it gives the business the credibility as an established business when people walk in and they see the Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express logo, it gives you a certain amount of credibility that you do take those payments. People feel more comfortable shopping in establishments that take those particular card payments. So if we could have the next slide, please. So what we're talking about here is why is it beneficial to find a local merchant processor instead of one of the big online companies, say such as Square or somebody that's calling you from Texas, telling you that they can save you godly money and you're going to speak with them once and you're never going to speak with them again. And if you have a problem, you don't have anybody to go back to. So one of the things that I do is I'm with you from start to finish and in between until you either close your business or go out of business or sell your business. If you can find a local person that's seasoned within the industry, they're going to be your go-to person for any problems that you may have. I have people calling me up for paper, people calling me, my terminal's not working, and usually it's a quick fix, and I can alleviate a problem pretty quickly versus them dialing 1-800, punching your merchant number, and so on and so forth. So, and I know their systems, and I know what kind of terminals that they have. So, if you're giving advice to people coming in to the Small Business Association, try to see if they can find a local person that is going to take care of them versus 1-800 call whomever. It's very convenient. They work with the merchant to tailor a system for each type of business with their specific needs rather than having a cookie cutter approach. They'll help them go through the PCI, payment card industry compliance. A local merchant account provider will help them with the PCI questionnaire, whereas if they just get a solicited call, they may not make any mention about the PCI compliance aspect of it, which is a huge part of having a discount nowadays. This stems from Target getting hacked into and Heartland Payment Systems getting hacked into. There's a yearly questionnaire that needs to be filled out as far as that you're following proper procedures and protocols as far as processing cards and you're not storing cards and so on and so forth. And when a merchant gets into the questionnaire, it can be very intimidating for them to answer some of these questions, and they may not know, and they could answer it incorrectly, and then they wouldn't be certified, and it could be a big mess. Whereas if they have a local person that will spend 20 minutes with them to go through this, or in my case, I actually do it for my merchants because it's a necessary evil, but they've got businesses to run. So I have a database once a month. I sit down on my computer and I answer the questionnaires. If there's any changes in their software, I try to make the updates for them. It's kind of important to have somebody that actually will help your business grow. They can start out with a bill of credit card terminal, and then a few years down the road, they may end up wanting a point of sale system, and that's something that your merchant account provider can help you with or guide you to something that they may understand, something that they're familiar with. So if there are problems, they can help you with that versus you going out online and picking something online that your merchant provider has no idea how to work with it, and you're going to kind of be in the same boat as you were before. So, and there are different ways that business owners can take credit cards. There's a traditional countertop terminal with a cash register. Usually, that's what most people start with. You ring up all your sales from the cash register, and then you have your terminal on the line. You ring up the cash register in the credit card machine, excuse me. And then there's your POS systems or point of sale systems, which are a little bit more robust. They act as a cash register, inventory management, so you can keep track of your goods, how many widgets you sold, how many sandwiches you sold, how many pizzas you sold, and you can get even deeper and say you're a deli and you're selling subs and pizzas and so forth. You can get into where you're weighing the amount of meat that you put on a sandwich. So you know if you sold 6 subs, you should have gone through 3.5 pounds of meat. And when you pull your inventory and you only got 2 pounds of meat left, and you start out with 10, somebody's eating some sandwiches on you. So it makes your employees a little bit more accountable. But it is a little bit of time consuming in the beginning because you do have to set up the database and put all your there and UPC codes and so forth. Or if you don't do that, you just bought yourself a $3,000 credit card machine. So they are, it's basically an inventory system to control product, and your employees can sign in, sign out, and you can do your payroll off of them, and a lot of them will also dump into QuickBooks too. So if you're using QuickBooks as your accounting system, you can get most of your stuff from them. Another way is e-commerce. You can be a brick and mortar business and have a POS system at your shop, and you can also have a website to increase your footprint to throughout the world, basically, and people buy stuff online, and you need somebody to help you get that set up. That would be a separate merchant account or card not present environment, and you need a little bit of help with something like that. You need a web developer, and then you need a merchant account person such as myself to get you hooked up with a gateway, which speaks to the bank and gets your approvals. And then the new way of processing out there is the M-commerce or mobile device. Everybody shops online with their smartphones, and you can also take payments with your smartphone. And Square has taken that market by storm. But every merchant account provider offers some type of M-commerce capabilities, and the nice thing about it is if you have one person that sets you up with your POS system and your e-commerce and your M-commerce, so that you can move all facets of your business, and if there is a problem with either one of those, that they're your go-to person versus talking to 6 different people and then getting put on hold and then having to re-explain your story and go through that. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to about is some of the scenarios that we can have here is the countertop terminal with the cash register. Brick and mortar businesses would have they're inexpensive to get set up. You can buy a cash register at BJ's for $100, and then get a credit card terminal for right around $250 to $300, depending upon what what type of terminal you get. If it's going to be EMV capable and pen debit capable and Apple Pay capable and so forth. Those are the benefits. It's good to start out with the cons. It doesn't have a good reporting capabilities for the merchant, and it's not very portable. If you do shows or if you're doing crafts and so forth, it's kind of hard to log out the cash register and the merchant credit card machine. And then you need an internet line, or you get a phone cord and so forth. So onto the countertop terminal. POS system. Benefits are, just like I spoke to earlier, it's a database system that can interact with UPC codes and track inventory. So every product that's sold out there, as you're aware, has a little barcode on the back of it, and it's a universal product code, UPC. And you can program those into your POS system, and you buy a scanner, and it will scan in your back office. You put the price in there. The cashier doesn't even have to ring in the price. His a descriptor and the price. And what that also does is then it takes that inventory, so you put GMP, bags of chips you sold or whatever it might be, and it will also you can put triggers in there. So when you get down to 2 bags of chips, it will send you an email, hey, you got to order more chips. And or when your distributor comes in, you can say, yep, I'm down to 2 bags. I need 6 or 7 bags of chips, and they'll take care of that for you. It will also keep data trends so business owner can know what sells and how much to order. 4th of July, if you own a convenience store, lots of charcoal, burgers, hot dogs, beer going out the door. And, if you've been in business for a long time, you kind of have an idea of what to do. If you've only owned the business for 1 year, you're not going to remember. You're going to get pulled around to how much did I buy and did I have any left over. So this will keep track of data, and you can look at trends and see, oh yeah, last year we sold 500 packages of hot dogs, 80 cases of beer, and 17 bags of charcoal, or whatever it might be. If you own a restaurant, it will tell you how many meals you sold, and if you're special, if you run a special for Mother's Day or something along those lines, it will tell you what your business was, how many plates you served, how many guests you had, because you can check in guests and so forth. So it gives you a lot of data that you can utilize in your business. So when you come around to the following year, you know what to order. Because you don't want to order too much, and you don't want to order too little. You want to order just right. And what's really good about it is that you have the ability to have it in the cloud now. So it allows from your iPhone or your iPad or your Droid device to log in remotely and see what your sales are, how much is in the drawer, who's ringing stuff up, who's on their top. If not there, you really are there. And you couple that with some security cameras with time stamps on them if you have someone, and you can zoom right in and see what's going on if somebody's letting stuff walk out the door. Changes to the systems are easily managed. You can simply, if you're a staff, you can go into your back office, which is your administrative part of the program, and you can, we're running, buy one, get one free, or whatever it might be, and you can change that UPC code and reflect the pricing on there, and it automatically updates. So pretty simple. And you can do that from your home. You don't have to be on site to do that. You can log into your back office, as we call it, and make these changes on the fly. So like if you have a restaurant, you have the ability to run a special that night and create a button on the point of sale system, like it is the most special, and have it on there. And then when the night over, it comes as a $1,500, and then there's some that are $5,000 to $10,000. If you go into some high-end restaurants, you see the micro systems and so forth, and the squirrel systems. They're kind of pricey, but you can get a decent system for about $1,500 if you, I think it's called ShopKeep is what I use, and they're about $1,500 for a setup, and that includes a printer, a swiper, an iPad, and it runs off an iPad, and a cash drawer. So, yeah, I have that written down here. Example program, ShopKeep, and QuickBooks. There are others. Each sales rep should have someone to understand it and explain to the merchant, because when I set up ShopKeep, I actually help the merchant get going and set up and show them how to do it, and it's fairly intuitive, so they can, once I show them how to create a button and create inventory 2-3 times, next thing you know, I come back the next day, and it's, they figured it out, and so that's something that's intuitive is very important. E-commerce is pretty big. We all shop online. We're generating sales through a website, so it's important that you have a good website. It's marketed properly. The e-commerce websites include the ability to purchase products within a shopping cart, PayPal, and other internet options versus local providers. PayPal is kind of expensive, but it's widely accepted. But I don't use PayPal because I don't have a PayPal account, and when they want me to pay with PayPal, I have to sign in, I got to log in and so forth. So I always try to shop where I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just want to give my credit card number, expiration date, my address, and get my stuff. So what we utilize is an internet gateway called authorize.net, and whatever shopping cart the merchant decides to use. Shopping carts come at, there's some free ones, there's some other ones that you pay for that will integrate with Federal Express and UPS and so forth. If you're having quite a bit of business, you would want that functionality. The pros to having an e-commerce site is you can reach more customers at the national and international level. The cons to it, it requires a web developer to do that, and they can be kind of expensive depending upon how nice you want your website to be. To set up the advertising and the maintenance of the system, some of them come with the ability for you to add items, content management systems. Some of them don't. You have to call the web developer and send the picture and the description, and then they put it up on the site for you, and so on and so forth. So what you want is somebody who sets you up with a good site, and then they train you on how to use that site, so you don't have to pay them $50, $60 an hour to do something that you could do yourself if you spend a half an hour learning how to do it. The other con to that is the card is equipment. Okay, that means that it's not being swept through a terminal. So if there is fraud, if it's a fraudulent card, you're out money that they paid you and the product. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. Even if it's a chip card, the chip cards are, and you're processing online, the card, the chip is in at that point in time. You're just dealing with a little number. And there's lots of systems out there, each with their own pros and cons. Okay, again, next slide. Okay, Ecommerce. That's basically using a mobile device, tablet, or a phone to accept credit card payments. The with an N-commerce swiper. Basically, it's a little mini swiper that you plug into the and it becomes a little mini computer credit card machine. You take payments anywhere. And you get the card present, swipe, so there's also, you get a lower rate when you're dealing with card present versus in an e-commerce non card present environment. So there's certain rates that are out there. And they do make swipers with chip readers, so then you're reducing the odd end of that. So if it's a stolen card with a chip, and you take it and comes back one day the card was stolen, you're not held liable because you didn't process that card using a chip. It's excellent for merchants who are mobile, craft shows, trade shows, pizza delivery, trope. Anybody that's out on the road fixing stuff, I've got some pizza guys that are using it, some appliance salesmen, not salesmen, sorry, maintenance guys that go out and put your refrigerator, they come on site, carpet plumbers. But, you know, when your plumbing goes, it's not the most opportune time, and it's not like you stayed up for it. It happened in the middle of the night, and you may not have time to go to the bank, so you can whip out your debit card and pay him, and he's happy, you're happy, and there's not water all over your floor. So the only con is the merchant should be careful about what reader they choose, and some companies are stronger than others, meaning that some of the card readers don't encrypt at the point of sliding the card through them. They pass the data from the card into the phone, and then it's encrypted within the phone and sent off to the processor, and it comes back encrypted with approval. So you want to make sure that your device encrypts at the point of sliding the card, so that anybody with, because someone can hack you, okay? You're dealing with Bluetooth and near-field communication devices, and if they're within a certain distance from you, they can hack that card number from you. So you want to make sure that when you swipe it, the swiper is encrypting the data and then bringing it to the phone encrypted and sending it off encrypted. That's called point-to-point encryption, and that's what I work with exclusively. I know that Square in the beginning was doing that. I'm not sure about PayPal if they're using point-to-point encryption or not. And then they also, with the advent of the Square, they came up with a 2.75% flat fee, and then a 3.25 and 10 cents if you have to key it in. You need to take a look at that and figure out how much business are you doing. If you're only doing a couple $100 a month, then I suggest a Square. If you're doing a couple $3,000 to $4,000 a month, I would suggest getting a merchant account, because the 2.75 rate is high. That's like $2.75 per $100. As a merchant account, you'd be paying 1.79% 50 cents. So that brings you to $2.19. That's $2.75 a transaction. So it seems they need to, but and they're not separating out debit cards, and debit cards are 1.49% and 20 cents a transaction. So there's money being left at the table, but if you're just doing a few transactions a month, the Square is good. If you are doing a considerable amount of business, it's wise for you to look into a full-blown merchant account where you would get the full breakdown of debit and credit and so on and so forth. And that's something that I can help you with. And then ideally you want a merchant, you want an end-to-person solution that goes hand in hand with your current merchant account. So what I offer is if you have a merchant account with me, I would basically just add the Ecommerce aspect of it as a secondary terminal, if you will, and you would get everything all in one statement. You wouldn't have two statements that you need to deal with. It would all be on one statement, which is kind of handy when you're trying to balance your checkbook. Okay. So this is the elephant in the room here, the transition to chip card readers, and what is an EMV chip card, and what prompted it, and what does it stand for, and so on and so forth. So EMV stands for European, MasterCard, and Visa, and it's prominent over in Europe and in Canada. What they are is they're new credit cards with chips embedded in them, and it helps reduce fraud. We put a chip merchant with multiple cards and the transactions up quickly swiped. Just like if they wrote a check to you in a bounce, we're able to get their money to product and the merchandise, so the double whammy. Now, if it comes back that it's fraud, at least get your money back. It's stating that you used the chip. Now, with that being said, they made a big media splash with, October 1st being the deadline, when in essence it really wasn't the deadline. It was kind of a hard rollout, if you will, as far as these being brought in, out to the public. There are processors out there that still aren't set up to accept EMV chips, and there are cards out there, American Express and Discover, that have chips in them, but the chips don't work yet. They're not set up for them because there are so many different banks and different processors and backends and programs and so forth. It was a huge, huge undertaking just to implement this. So I think it's definitely for the better. If it will help reduce fraud, that's great. That will help keep the discount rate down, and the discount rate is basically what you pay back to Visa and MasterCard for the, as they call it, the privilege of accepting cards. So it's a good thing. If it reduces fraud, that's great. Merchants, should, if they have the wherewithal, when they can, upgrade to a chip reader, and sometimes that can be as simple as adding a pin pad to their current device, or if they have a pin pad, just updating the device and still utilizing their existing pin pad. And there's other products that are coming out first quarter this year that will allow that to happen. Everybody, to get certified on all the processors and all the back ends and that are out there is an arduous task at best, and they're working at it. There's a lot of unintended consequences that happen when you release new technology, and they're figuring that out as they go, but they're pretty smart about it, and they're doing a pretty good job. My company that I deal with, we're chip enabled. We handle, we can deal with all the major terminals out there. So we were ahead of the curve on that, and it was pretty seamless, other than the fact that we actually ran out of terminals because of the media scare. Went about 2 weeks where I couldn't get any terminals at all. But it's subsided now, and terminals are available. So merchants with older systems will still be able to process via the magnetic swipe, but will be held liable for fraudulent transactions. All the chip cards will still have a magnetic swipe on them. So you can swipe them, and then, but if you feel it may be a fraudulent transaction, or it does come back stolen, then you will be held liable, which is what was happening before anyway. So it's the same as it was. This is just offering you protection. The chip is offering protection if it is a swipe transaction. E-commerce merchants will still be held liable. The chip card at this time does not make a difference on online sales because you're still just punching in a credit card number and the CVV2 code on the back and your address, and so there's really no safeguards for that just yet. Next slide, please. Okay, so there's been a lot of talk. Apple Pay got into the market with the advent of the iPhone 6, I believe it was, and Google Wallet and PayPal, and there's a few of them out there that are vying for the top spot of being able to input your credit card information into your phone, and then basically if the merchant has a device that will accept that payment, then all they need to do is just kind of turn on the near field communication or have their Bluetooth on and swipe it over the machine, and it will take that information, and you don't have to take your credit card out of your wallet. But right now, the industry hasn't quite figured out what's going to be the standard as far as like Visa, MasterCard are the standards, and there's certain terminals out there that have made their Verifone and Genico and so forth. They're terminals that have been there for a while, and they are the standard by which everybody else goes by. We haven't quite figured out which one is going to be yet. And they're all out there, and each one takes a little bit different piece of technology to make them work. So do you want to take Apple Pay? Do you want to do Google Wallet? That's completely up to the merchant. But also be advised that Apple Pay, if you do get into Apple Pay, you'll be paying a higher rate than you would be if you didn't take Apple Pay, to the tune of 15 basis points. So on $100, if you have somebody that wants to pay Apple Pay, it would cost you an extra 15 cents for the convenience of your customer being able to tap their phone instead of just taking their credit card out of their wallet and paying. And the readers are kind of expensive. We see at some of the big box stores, they have the readers now, and as the person cashier scans, it tells you what it is, what the price is, and so on and so forth, and you work it there, and it has a little symbol there that you can tap and go and so forth. Those readers are $500–600, so you would need to be in a spot that in an area that has a lot of people that are very tech savvy want to do this to make that type of investment. I know in the North Country, I have not had anybody ask me about Apple Pay yet, so I don't know in the Albany area. There may be some need for it for the college students and so forth, but storing that stuff on your phone and your phone gets lost, and even though it's encrypted and so forth, is not something that I'm too keen on. I don't use Google Wallet or Apple Pay. I pay cash or use my debit or credit card. So I'm too many ways to hack in phones these days, or computers for that matter. And I talked about the Apple 15 basis points higher on near-field communication, some chip cards. Yes, and some of the cards themselves, the credit cards, do have near-field communication built into them, meaning that the customer can tap the card on the swiper and will read it without swiping. The only problem with that is that somebody with a near-field communication reader can swipe the information from your card if they're standing next to you or rub up against you, and you have your wallet in your back pocket, unless you keep it in a special sleeve. so it's not emitting the near field communication signal. It kind of always does that. So it's a little dangerous, you know. It's not anything that I would want. You know, now I got to take the card out, take it out of the sleeve instead of just using my regular card. So, but they're out there, and it's something that, you know, some people may want, and so I thought about it.
That's it.
Oh, we're done. Well, that was pretty easy.
And we have a question.
I know that I'm breaking it up a little bit here. We have some technical difficulties, so I'm speaking on my cell phone, and I don't have the best coverage in my office. But if you want to reach me and if you have any other questions, there's my contact information, email, and phone number.
And Mike, there were a couple people with questions Kathy had.
Yeah, we do have one question so far. Are Discover and American Express included in a typical merchant account setup?
Yes. Now, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover are all part and parcel of a merchant account. American Express finally got smart and decided to ride the rails with Visa and MasterCard with their Hot Blue program, and their pricing is come down considerably. In fact, with the company that I work with, I actually control the pricing of the American Express card, so it's not 3.5%, 4% anymore. It's down in the 2% range. So it doesn't cost you anything to take it. It costs you a little bit more if you do take the card, where it used to be before you had a separate statement and you had you didn't get paid as fast. It took 3 to 4 days to get paid on American Express, and then they took the discount rate out, so you weren't. It was hard to reconcile your statements. Now everything is done the same. You get paid the next day or the following day, and you can see, you know, how much American Express, Discover, and Visa, MasterCard sales you did, and there's accountability for it.
Does anybody else have? Yeah, I think that was a very good answer. Does anybody else have any questions for Mike?
And I'm available if you're sitting with a client and they bring that up. I'm always available if you just want to give me a call, and if they have questions. I know you're not allowed to suggest who to do business with, but if you know, if they are asking questions about it, you can just call me, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions for you. They don't have to do business with me, but at least I want to point them in the right direction, at least.
Great, thank you very much. Everybody, thank you for joining us today and for putting up with our technical difficulties. And Mike, thank you so much for presenting, and Jen, thank you so much for arranging this. So if we don't have any more questions, this will end our webinar.